The colony of Elysia 7 was quiet that morning. The sky had a soft purple glow, and the wind carried dust across the metal streets. Theo, a young human technician, walked alone toward the delivery dock. He had no idea that today would change his life forever. A ship had landed just after dawn, no name, no signal, just coordinates. Strange, Theo was the one ordered to inspect its cargo, just an abandoned freight drop. The guard at the gate said, yawning, probably leftover supplies. But when Theo entered the bay, he saw something different. A single box stood in the center. Silver, smooth, strange markings on the sides glowing faintly. Unlike anything he'd seen before, the tag on it read, Special Asset Handle with Caution Property of Orion Cluster Council. Theo raised an eyebrow. This isn't supplies. Curious, he waved his ID over the scanner. To his surprise, the box clicked open with a hiss like it had been waiting for him. Then, ... It opened. Inside was a girl. She lay inside a glass capsule, breathing softly, not human. Her skin had a gentle golden tone. Her hair shimmered blue under the light. Long lashes fluttered as her eyes opened, bright violet like the stars themselves. She slowly sat up, smiled, and whispered softly, Ah, so you're the one who opened me? Theo froze. WH, who are you? The girl tilted her head. Her voice was playful, teasing. What else do you expect to receive from me, human? She stepped out of the pod with graceful movements. Her outfit looked like ceremonial robes, delicate, almost glowing. She bowed deeply. I am Virelia, assigned to you as companion class gift. No. 7. What? Gift. No. I didn't order anything. Virelia just smiled. Then why did you open me with your ID tag? Theo backed away. Was just doing my job. This isn't right. Suddenly, the ship's docking system beeped. A new message blinked on the screen behind him. Transfer complete. Theo J. Marshall, Guardian approved status. Claimed, what the hell is this? Theo muttered. He tapped the console. The data was locked. Virelia walked up behind him. Closer now, her tone softer. Maybe it's fate. He turned to face her. Listen, I don't know what kind of joke this is, but she leaned in slightly, a playful look in her eyes. Are you afraid of me, human? He stepped back. No, I just don't understand. What's going on? Before he could ask more, 2 security guards entered. They stared at Virelia, then at Theo. Is she yours? One asked, hand near his stun baton. No, Theo said quickly. She just came in that pod, I just opened it. But the guards checked their data pads and nodded. Double quotes, yep. Registry says she's assigned to you. What does that even mean? Theo asked, frustrated. One guard smirked. You lucky dog. I heard some high houses in the Orion cluster send out these bond gifts to chosen humans, usually politicians or soldiers. Not tech guys like you. Virelia smiled sweetly at the guards. I belong to him, she said gently, wrapping one arm around Theo's. He flinched, but the guards laughed and walked off. Once alone, Theo pulled away. Why are you doing this?
I
didn't ask for a companion or whatever you think you are. Virelia's expression shifted just for a second. A flicker of something sad, ... or scared. Then she smiled again. You may not have asked, but someone made sure I was sent to you. Theo stared at her. Who? Virelia looked up at the stars above the dome ceiling. That ... I do not know, but we'll find out together. Suddenly, Theo's wrist device vibrated. A hidden file had appeared in his system. It was encrypted. Its unlocking only possible with joint DNA scan, the message read. He looked at Virelia. She was already offering her hand. This is bigger than a prank, Theo whispered. Virelia just nodded. Outside. The dock, something else was watching them, silent and invisible. A floating orb with a single red eye. It blinked once, then vanished. Theo didn't sleep that night. How could he? There was now a beautiful alien girl sleeping calmly in his guest room, claiming she was his assigned companion. His wrist pad still pulsed with the encrypted message. The code refused to open endless. He agreed to a joint scan with her, and worse, felt like someone or something was watching. By morning, Theo had made a decision. He would take Virelia to the off-grid data shack outside the colony limits. It was hidden, old, and not connected to the council systems. Maybe there he could break into the message without alerting anyone. Virelia walked beside him, dressed. Now, in a simple gray cloak, her glowing hair tucked inside. She didn't speak much, but when she did, it was always with that same teasing calm. "Are you nervous because of the file, or because of me?" Theo rolled his eyes. "I'm nervous. Because I might have been tricked into something dangerous." She tilted her head. "So you think I'm dangerous?" He didn't answer. The shack was built under a collapsed mining dome, forgotten by most colonists. Inside, dusty screens blinked to life. Theo connected his wristpad. The file was still locked. Virelia stepped closer. "Shall we try it now?" Theo hesitated. "If I do this, I'm trusting you." Virelia reached out and placed her hand gently on his. "I've been trusting you since the moment I opened my eyes." They both placed their thumbs on the scan. Match found. Decryption initiated. The screen flashed. And suddenly, a series of files, opened videos, text logs, star maps, and a final message to the one who claims Virelia. She is more than a companion. She holds the memory seed of a lost empire. For life ends, so does the last hope of the Virulon archive. Theo stared at the screen, stunned. A memory seed? The hell is that? Virelia stepped back, face pale. "They told me I carried something, but they never explained what. A hidden empire. A girl sent across stars. And now she was tied to him?" Suddenly, the lights in the shack flickered. Then a cold voice came from behind them. "Step away from the asset." Theo spun around and saw 3 figures in black armor. No insignia, no faces, just glowing red visors. One raised. "A weapon. She is not yours. Return her now." Virelia stepped in front of Theo. "You don't understand." He unlocked the file. "He's the rightful guardian." But they didn't care. One fired. Theo pulled Virelia down just in time as the blast scorched. The wall sparks flew. He grabbed her hand. "Run." They dashed through the side exit, sliding through a maintenance tunnel. Behind them, the sound of boots echoed closer. Virelia looked at him mid-run, breath sharp. "You didn't sign up for this?" He gritted his teeth. Too late for regrets. Outside, the wind howled. Theo activated his bike and pulled Virelia. Behind him, he sped off across the dusty flats, chased by 2 dark hoverpods. "If they catch us," Virelia whispered, "they won't take me alive. They'll wipe me, delete the seed." Theo nodded grimly. "Then we don't let them catch us." Suddenly, Virelia leaned in close and whispered something in a language he didn't understand. Her eyes glowed. The bike engine screamed and transformed. Metal shifted, panels folded out. Jets lit up blue. They lifted into the air. "What the hell?" "I activated its alternate mode," she said, smiling. "I modified it last night. You were snoring?" Theo could only laugh in disbelief. "You hacked my ride?" Virelia smirked. "Said I was assigned to help you, didn't I?" Behind them, the pods gained speed. One aimed a plasma cannon, but before it could fire, Virelia opened a small capsule from her belt and tossed it back. A flash of blue energy burst midair, causing the pod systems to crash. The other turned away immediately, retreating. Theo slowed the flight. His heart was pounding. Virelia leaned against him from behind and whispered in his ear, "Now, what else do you expect to receive from me, human?" He shook his head, half laughing, half scared. "This is way more than I expected," but deep inside, something else stirred. Curiosity, fear, and maybe the beginning of something more. The hoverbike rested under a rocky cliff, hidden in the shadow of old ruins. Theo and Virelia had escaped for now. The enemy ship had vanished into the sky, but they both knew it wouldn't be long before it returned. Theo paced, trying to calm himself. Okay. Armored soldiers, memory seed, secret empire. This is way beyond anything I've ever handled. Virilia didn't answer. She sat against a stone pillar, her eyes closed, breathing heavily. Her fingers twitched. Sweat glistened on her forehead. Something was wrong, Virilia. Theo moved toward her, gently touching her shoulder. Are you okay? Her eyes snapped open, glowing brighter than ever. I think the seed is waking up inside me, she whispered. It's not just memories. It's alive. Theo knelt beside her. What do you mean? She clutched her head. Images, voices, codes, languages I never knew. I can hear them now like whispers in the back of my mind. It's like someone else is inside me, showing me things I'm not ready for. Suddenly, she let out a soft gasp and her hands began glowing. She looked down, panicked. Theo, help me. I think it's taking over. Before he could speak, her body arched and light erupted from her eyes. Inside her mind, Virilia floated in a black void, surrounded by glowing geometric patterns. A figure appeared before her, tall, cloaked in light. You have finally arrived, Vesa. Who are you? She asked, her voice echoing. I am the seed. A memory, yes, but also a voice of the past. The last king of the Virilon star realm lives within me, and now within you. Virilia trembled. Why was I chosen? Because you carry empathy, pain, strength, and love. These were the things our empire lacked at the end. The human unlocked you. You are now joined. His choices will shape your path. Back in the real world, Theo held Virilia in his arms. Her body trembled, lights pulsing beneath her skin like veins made of stars. He didn't know what to do. He was just a mechanic, not a doctor, not a soldier. Then her eyes flickered open. But they were no longer hers. She looked at him with strange focus and said in a calm, royal voice, You are the human, Theo, Marshal. You are chosen. He blinked. What? Chosen for what? To carry the key of Continuum, ancient weapon that only responds to bonds, not blood. She touched his chest gently. You unlocked me. Now we are bound. Suddenly a symbol appeared on Theo's wrist, a glowing glyph, shaped like a broken circle with wings. What the hell is this? Virilia's own mark began to glow too, on her collarbone. The key is hidden, guarded in the ruins of my people. Only together can we find it. Only together can we survive what's coming. Before he could reply, his cum crackled. Hey, Theo, this is Layla from base control. Are you safe? You need to get back to HQ now. Something massive just entered orbit. It's not from the council. Virilia looked up at the sky. They found us. Theo helped her stand, still shaken. What do we do? She took his hand, gently but firmly. We go to the ruins. There's something waiting for us. Something that can protect us. Or destroy everything. Theo swallowed hard. He didn't ask for any of this. But somehow, he couldn't walk away now. Meanwhile, high above Elysia 7, ship, unlike anything humans had ever built, floated into orbit. It was shaped like a starfish, black and spiked. Inside its command chamber, a woman with half-metal skin stared at the hologram of Virilia. She awakened, the woman hissed, and bonded with the human. That was not part of the plan. An officer spoke from behind her. Shall we strike, Commander Zara? The woman narrowed her cold eyes. No. Let the seed lead us to the key. Then we erase them both. On the surface, Theo and Virilia rode silently toward the forbidden zone. An ancient crater rumored to hold strange energy. Wind howled across the plains. Dark clouds were forming. The storm wasn't just in the sky, it was in their future, and Virilia was no longer just an alien girl. She was the past. The key. Maybe the galaxy's last hope. The wind screamed across the black desert as Theo and Virilia stood at the edge of the crater. It was enormous, miles wide, glowing faintly from below with ancient blue light. Strange metal spires rose from its cracked floor, shaped like broken fingers, reaching for the stars. A thick fog rolled across the center like a warning. Theo tightened his grip on the hoverbike handles. You sure this is the place? Virilia stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly again. I've never been here, but the seed inside me says yes. She wasn't the same girl who had teased him at the start. Her voice now carried purpose, like she was waking up as something more than just a gift. Something ancient. They descended into the crater. Each step forward made Theo's wrist glyph pulse brighter, responding to the strange energy in the air. Even his bones felt heavier, as if time itself was pushing against him. At the center of the crater stood a stone-like structure, part temple, part machine. Its surface shimmered with ancient runes that moved like living ink. "This is where the Continuum Key sleeps," Varelia whispered. "It was sealed by my ancestors. When the Empire fell, only those who share the bond can enter." They stepped forward. The ground responded. The temple shifted, groaning as doors opened without touch. Light spiraled upward from the floor in twin rings, one around Theo, one around Varelia. A voice echoed through the chamber, soft but deep. "Blood is temporary. Bond is eternal. Speak the vow." Varelia turned to Theo, unsure. "What vow?" he asked. She placed her hand over her chest. "I think we have to say something to bind us together, not just physically, spiritually." Theo blinked. "Like, marry you?" Varelia gave a small, nervous smile. "Not quite. Close enough." Suddenly, a memory knot hiss flashed into Theo's mind. An alien couple, surrounded by glowing watchers, making the same vow before entering a golden gate. He took a breath, heart pounding, and repeated the words he somehow knew. "Where I walk, you walk. Where I fall, you rise. In life, in memory, in purpose, we are joined." Varelia echoed him. The light burst upward, and the floor opened. From the pit below, a large object rose slowly, floated in mid-air, smooth, obsidian black, like a blade without a handle. But it wasn't a weapon. It hummed with thought. "The Continuum Key," Varelia said, stepping forward with awe. It flew toward. Theo hovered inches from his chest. Then it shifted, folding and forming until it became a gauntlet over his forearm. Locking in place, a voice whispered inside. His mind, protector chosen. Link accepted. Theo staggered. The gauntlet felt alive, like it breathed. Varelia reached for him. "Are you okay?" Before he could answer, boom, the sky shattered. From above, black beams rained down around the crater. Ships descended sleek. Claw-shaped vessels bearing the red-eye emblem of Commander Zera. "Theo's come." Blinked with a signal. "Unknown force has entered atmosphere. Colony defenses offline." Varelia's face darkened. "They tracked us through the seed. I should have known." From the cliffs above, dozens of black armored soldiers dropped in, guns drawn, moving in silence. One of them pointed. "The key is active. Neutralize the human." "Over my dead body," Theo growled, lifting his hand. The gauntlet shimmered. Then reacted. A force field burst out, knocking the soldiers back with a crack of light. Theo looked at his arms, stunned. "I didn't mean to. It's bonded to your instinct now," Varelia said. "It'll protect you." They ran deeper into the ruins as more enemies dropped in. Blasts lit the shadows. One beam struck a pillar above them, sending it crashing down behind in the chaos. Varelia stumbled. A soldier reached for her, but Theo turned and punched. The gauntlet roared. A wave of energy threw the enemy 10 feet back. Theo pulled her up. "We're not giving up now." Far above, in Commander Zera's flagship, the woman stared at the battle playing out on her screen. ... The human is adapting faster than expected. Her aide stepped forward. "Should we engage personally?" She smiled coldly. "No. Let him believe he's winning. The key is dangerous, but only while it trusts him. Once his bond breaks, ... it becomes ours." Back in the ruins, Theo and Varelia reached a hidden chamber, sealed by a strange door with 2 hand symbols, one shaped like hers. "One like his. They'll break in soon," Theo said. Varelia looked at him, eyes serious. "Then let's unlock the final part. Of the past, the truth of what I am, and why you were chosen." Together, they pressed their hands to the door, and the chamber opened. revealing a glowing orb pulsing with stars. A voice spoke once more. "Welcome, heir of memory. Welcome, protector of future." As the ancient chamber opened, a warm wind brushed Theo's face, even though they were underground. The room glowed with silver and gold patterns, moving like ripples on water. In the center floated a massive orb, spinning slowly, filled with tiny stars. Virilia stepped in first, eyes wide. "This is the vault of memory, the last secret of my people. Locked away when we fell." Theo followed, glancing back at the door. It sealed behind them with a heavy thud. "Let me guess." He said, "No turning back." She nodded, but inside her hands were shaking. The orb spoke. "Heir of the seed, you have returned. Do you wish to know your truth?" Virilia hesitated, then looked at Theo. "Will you stay? Even if it's terrible?" He nodded slowly. "With you, whatever it is." The orb pulsed brighter than witness. A beam of light hit them, both pulling their minds into a shared vision. The vision, they stood inside a palace made of crystal and light, floating in space, thousands of Virelians. Knelt before a tall man wearing robes like Virelia's. His face was kind, but tired. He turned and looked straight at Virilia. "My daughter," he said softly. "If you're hearing this, I failed." Virilia gasped. Theo realized. This was the last Virelian emperor. Her father, the council, betrayed us. Our allies turned into hunters. They said we were too dangerous, that our knowledge must be erased. The vision showed alien fleets, burning worlds, silencing cultures. The Virelons hid their most powerful relic, the continuum Kion sealed it with. A child who hadn't yet awakened? "You were our last hope, Virilia. We knew we couldn't protect you with soldiers." The emperor knelt before a younger Virilia, just a baby, and whispered, "We gave you to the stars. Prayed a good soul would find you." Theo felt something inside him twist. This wasn't just a mission. He'd become part of a lost family's desperate hope. Back in the chamber, the light faded. Virilia wiped silent tears from her cheek. "I'm not just some gift. A carrier, a daughter." She turned to Theo. "And you. You were chosen because you value life, not power." Theo took a step forward, unsure of what to say. "I don't feel special." "You didn't have to feel it," she said. "You are." The orb began to pulse again. Final access unlocked. Proceed to the Codex core. Path opened behind them, leading deeper into the ruins. But as they stepped forward, boom, the door behind them exploded in fire and smoke. Black-armored soldiers stormed the chamber, led by Commander Zara herself. She stepped into the room like she owned it, metal boots echoing with power. Touching, truly, but enough fairy tales. Virilia stepped in front of Theo. "You can't take it." The key chose him. Zara smiled cruelly. "Keys can be reprogrammed, especially when the bond breaks." She snapped her fingers. From the smoke, they dragged in someone bleeding, beaten. Layla. Theo's friend from the colony. The one who sent the warning? Layla. Theo ran toward her, but soldiers stopped him with their rifles. Zara held a blade to Layla's throat. "Give me the gauntlet. Break the bond, or she dies." Theo froze. The gauntlet on his arm tightened, sensing danger. "I won't let her die," Theo whispered. Virilia looked torn. "Theo, don't. If you let go, the seed dies with me." He turned to her. "There has to be another way." Zara growled. "No, Sue's now human." Suddenly, Virilia stepped forward. "Then choose me, Theo. Not because I'm useful, not because of a mission. Choose me, the girl who's scared. What believes in you?" Theo looked at her, then at Layla, then at Zara. He raised his hand, but instead of giving up the gauntlet, slammed it into the ground. A shockwave burst out, knocking everyone backward. Layla fell free. Virilia caught her and pulled her to safety. Zara stood, furious. Theo raised his gauntlet. "I choose both, and I choose not to obey your rules." Suddenly, the orb pulsed again. Override accepted. New link formed. Dual bond initiated. 2 glyphs now burn, one on Theo's arm, one on Virelia's chest stand. A third one appeared on Layla's hand. Zara stepped back, her eyes wide. Impossible. A tribond. That hasn't existed in thousands of years, the orb rumbled. New future unlocked. Seed is no longer passive. It is awakened. The temple walls lit up, revealing a hidden map, a secret route, and something else. A beating heart made of stars. Virelia stared at it. It's not just memory anymore, Theo looked at her, voice steady. It's war now. The ruins trembled. Blue light surged across the chamber floor like living fire. The tribond had activated something ancient, something buried beneath time itself. Zara stumbled back, shielding her eyes. What have you done? Theo stood between Virelia and Layla, the gauntlet on his arm pulsing with raw energy. Glyphs danced across his skin like a living code. A voice echoed deep within him now, not just the seed's memory, but the will of something much older. Starfire core, unlocked. Virelia gasped. I thought it was a myth. Layla clutched her side, still bleeding. What is it? The final failsafe, Virelia whispered. A power buried in the ruins of our people, not a weapon. A spark, it can awaken others. As she spoke, the walls split open, revealing long-forgotten pods. Inside each one floated a sleeping figure, Relian survivors. Dozens, hundreds, cryo-sealed for centuries. Zara's soldiers stood stunned. This is what we feared, Zara growled. The return of the old bloodline? She raised her weapon. To fire at the pods? No, Virelia screamed. But Zara fired anyway. The blast never hit. Theo's gauntlet roared to life, sending out a shield wave that froze the beam midair. Then, with a single motion, he slammed his fist into the ground. Boom, a pulse of golden energy exploded outward, throwing soldiers through the air. The floor cracked, but the pods remained untouched, glowing brighter than before. Then, one of the pods opened. A young Virelian male stepped out, eyes blazing with light. He looked at Virelia. You bear the seed? She nodded. Then we rise again. Suddenly the other pods began to open one by one. The ancient race was waking, drawn by the tribond's signal. Zara turned, furious. Retreat. We'll destroy them from orbit. She activated her wrist, consoled but Layla, still leaning against the wall, gritted her teeth, and aimed Theos. Old disruptor rifle, zap.zehra, single quotes, as console sparked fried. You're not calling anyone? Zara lunged, but 3 newly awakened Virelians blocked her path, their eyes glowing and weapons forming from hard light energy. You are no longer welcome in this galaxy, one said coldly. Zara, seeing she was outmatched, vanished in a flash of light, teleported away. Theo looked around the chamber. The once lonely ruin was now full of life, and something inside him changed. The voice of the seed returned, but now it sounded like him. You are no longer just the protector. You are the catalyst. Later, outside the crater, the sky had turned black, filled with storm clouds and flashes of light. The colony's stations were silent. The council had cut them off. They were alone. For now, Virelia stood with Theo, watching the newly awakened Virelians gather supplies from the ruins. Their faces were a mix of confusion and awe. They were survivors. Yes, but also rebels now. Do you think the galaxy is ready for them? Theo asked. Virelia shook her head. The galaxy forgot them, buried them, lied about them. Now they'll remember. Layla joined them, her wounds bandaged. If Zara's fleeing, then she's planning something big. Theo nodded. Then, we better move faster. Virelia turned to the others. We have ships, hidden archives, forgotten weapons. But most important, we have truth. She stepped beside Theo, placed her hand over his heart. You were the spark. I was the match. Now, we light the fire. Together, they raised their hands. The pods behind them cracked open completely, revealing star-powered ships, organic in shape, glowing with alien technology. Those look fast, Layla said with a grin. Virelia smiled. Air alive. and they only fly for those who are bonded. Theo's gauntlet lit up, and a small, sleek ship responded, its hull opening like it recognized him. Suddenly, a transmission flickered through the air-open broadcast. To all hidden Varelians, forgotten hybrids, outcasts across the stars. This is Varelia, heir of the seed. We are alive, and we are done hiding. Join us. Reclaim what was stolen. Fight not for revenge, but for memory. The message repeated, spreading across old relay beacons, bouncing through abandoned sectors. And silent moons, and far away. Others heard it. Eyes opened. Codes cracked. Forgotten languages reawakened. In the Council Core system, High Command stared at the signal in silence. The seed has awakened, a gray-skinned elder said. Then the age of control is over, another muttered. Back on Elysia 7, Theo, Varelia, and Layla boarded their ships. The sky rumbled, and from a once lonely crater, a new fleet rose into the storm. The Starfire Rebellion had begun. The stars shimmered like a silent audience above Elysia 7, but they would not remain silent for long. From the ancient crater, Varelia's fleet rose, dozens of star-bonded ships glowing with pulse light. Theo stood at the helm of one, armored, now in a sleek exosuit formed by the Continuum Gauntlet itself. Layla took position as comms and weapons specialist. Her wounds healed, but her spirit sharper than ever. Varelia floated just ahead of the fleet, inside a shimmering star cruiser that seemed more alive than metal. She wasn't just an heir anymore, she was a symbol. All systems ready, Layla said. Every hidden beacon across 5 systems responded. More are coming. And Zara? Theo asked. Layla paused, checking the scanners. She's gathering. Ships on the outer edge of the Orion Ring. Over 200 Council warships. She's planning an ambush. Varelia's voice came across the interlinked uncom, but clear. Let her try. For too long, they've ruled with fear. Now they'll see the strength of memory and bond. The fleet moved as one. Elsewhere in the void of space, Commander Zara stood in the heart of her flagship. Eyes locked on the approaching rebel fleet. Let them come, she said coldly. We'll erase their legacy like we erased the others. But something in her voice trembled. Something ancient was stirring, and even she could feel it. Activate Disruptor Net, she barked. No escape. Back in Theo's ship, a warning flashed across the hala. Disruptor Net ahead. No hyperjump. No reinforcements. Layla looked at Theo. They want to trap us here. A final grave. Theo smiled faintly. Then let's turn their grave into our battlefield. Varelia's ship opened a direct link to his. She appeared in front of him, hologram, glowing like starlight. You once asked what else you could receive from me, human? She whispered, echoing her first teasing words. He chuckled. Yeah, and I still don't have a straight answer. She stepped closer in the projection, placing her hand over her heart. Then here it is, my name, my power, my people, and my future. We rise. Together. The battle begins, Shirus. Fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of plasma blasts streaked across space. But the awakened ships responded like living creatures, dancing between death, shielding each other, protecting their own. Theo's gauntlet activated, projecting energy. Shields over ally ships. Layla coordinated the strikes, using the Tribond signal to call out weak points. Then, Varelia sang. It wasn't a battle cry. It was a song in her ancient tongue. And from it, starfire within each Varelian ship ignited fully. They weren't machines. They were descendants of the seed. Theo's ship transformed mid-flight wings, spreading like blades of light. He flew straight toward Zara's command cruiser. Target ahead, Layla called. She's locked in. Varelia's voice entered his mind. You don't need to destroy her, Theo. Just show her that she no longer controls the ending. Theo's gauntlet surged. One final blast. Not to kill, but to expose the cruisers. Shield matrix forcing Zara's ship to power down. Her systems collapsed, and her soldiers began surrendering. Inside the council war room, screens went dark. Young council speaker turned to the elders. What do we do now? An elder rose. We write new laws, or we'll be written out of history. Back on Elysia 7. Days later, the people gathered around the crater. Ships had landed. Varelians from long-lost sectors arrived to celebrate. Children who had never seen their homeworld saw its light reborn in ruins that now bloomed with flowers. Theo walked beside Varelia, no longer just a technician, now a leader, a protector. Layla walked with them, smirking. So, you two gonna announce your soul bond ceremony? Or keep pretending it's just friendship? Theo blushed. Varelia smiled. He still hasn't answered my first question, Layla grinned. What? The one about what else he expects from you? Theo finally turned to Varelia, took her hand, and said softly, I expect, no, I hope, that we face the rest of the stars together. Varelia leaned in, resting her forehead to his. Then that is what you shall receive. Final scene above them. 3 new stars shined in the sky, visible to all systems across the galaxy. 1 pulsed blue, Varelia. Heir of the seed. 1 burned gold, Theo, catalyst of continuum. 1 glowed red, Layla, voice of rebellion. Together, they were known across the stars as the Tribon Legacy, and their story was just the beginning.